fight week, okay? So we're going to go through the whole entire card, and then we're also going to talk about why the FBI is still investigating the UFC. And who are they investigating? How far will they get to this investigation, if any at all? In my opinion, I don't think anything is going to happen out of this investigation. And I'm going to go into grave details as to why. Okay? Well, at least that's later on in the show. But for now, we got UFC 322, and we are about to get that cracking right now. So, all right, man. Just to let you guys know, a little housekeeping notes. I got a video out right now regarding Khabib looking to retire. Right? So early is he looking to retire. All right? But what is the reasoning behind that? What is the reasoning behind Khabib looking to retire from coaching? Well, I need you guys to take a look at that video in order to understand exactly why he's planning on doing that and some of the ideological reasons behind it. But yeah, man, welcome to the preview show. Victory, shout out to Marty Miller. Shout out to you, my man, as requested. I got to tell you, man, I've been extremely busy all throughout just the weekend and then going into this fight week. I didn't even plan on doing this. Matter of fact, I didn't even plan on doing a video, but it is guys like you that absolutely keep me motivated. Obviously, I have a life outside of YouTube, just like every single one of us. We all got a life outside of YouTube. Whether you are a listener, a follower, a fan, or a content creator yourself, we all have a life outside of it. But I tell you what, man, I am really privileged to understand, to know and understand how loyal some of my supporters are in here, like yourself, like Fresh, even though he likes to, backhand me in the balls quite a few times, right? That's what he likes to do. He likes to do this to, you know what I mean? Like he likes to give me, one of those, right? But I think that it is all within good intentions, good faith. And I really am appreciative of that because you know what? You train at an MMA gym. You know what it's like. Every single guy in there is looking to make the other guys better. That is what we do. We try to make each other better. And in the process of it, well, we can be very thankful about it. He says, I understand that. I appreciate it, brother. He says, what's up, big guy? What are your picks for the main card? All right, well, let's get right to that then. Okay, so let's get to the picks. Angelo says main VC muto legal. Okay, I don't know what that means. Please let me know that in my language, in the English language. And let me know what language you are from and what part of the world you are from because we are broadcasting live from Sacramento, California. Represent West Coast. A shout out to everybody in the world. But this week, the focus is the East Coast. No Diddy. Haha, East Coast with no Diddy. There you go, right? That is the main focus of this week because, well, Islam Makhachev is looking to take his second belt from JDM, a guy who was an unlikely champion. Okay, Drizzy Goat says, I got Islam, Val, Prates, BSD, and Brady. Okay. Good. We're going to get to that in just a second, okay? So, first, let's talk about the fights that have happened this past weekend first, okay? Let's go with that first. Hold on just a second as I make my thumbnail here, because, you know, I love to make thumbnails while I'm on and live and cracking. So, yeah, man. Hold on just a second here. So, okay, this weekend's fights. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of shenanigans going on like it was in the last fights. CMB says, Prates Leon fight I'm looking forward to the most. Okay. All right, man. Yeah, that is absolutely a fight I am looking forward to as well because I want to see what level Prates is at right now. Okay? I want to see what level Prates is at and see if he can take on the former champ. Right? So I want to see, more importantly, what kind of wrestling he's got going on, right? Because obviously these two guys are good strikers, right? Leon Edwards, being that he's a former champion, that means he's very well-rounded. So as a result of that well-roundedness from Leon Edwards, right, he's going to look to wrestle if Protes becomes too much of a problem on the feet. That's what he's going to do. He's going to look to wrestle. So that is why I'm curious, and the question begs, is that Carlos Prates' wrestling, is it good enough, right? Is it good enough to handle the likes of Leon Edwards? Because Leon Edwards, he did get out-grappled by Sean Brady, right? He did get out-grappled by Sean Brady. But it doesn't mean that he can't wrestle. Now, look, you guys have seen in the Usman fight, he mounted Kamaru Usman. So for sure, this guy has prowess when it comes to his wrestling, right? Obviously not at the level of, Marty Usman. I was going to say Marty Miller, but, Marty Usman, he's not at that level of Marty Usman. But he is good enough to wrestle in terms of being well-rounded. So, all right. Here we go. Okay, so simple enough. Simple enough for a thumbnail. Let's get that thing cracking. All right, man. And by the way, let me know what part of the world you guys are from if you guys are new to the chat. Because obviously, yes, Derek says, oh, man, disgusting. Disgusting of you, Derek, to write that. But on any regard, you have every right to say that, but I have every right to say that you are a disgusting human being. Look, let me tell you the type of jokes I don't like, right? I do not like toilet jokes whatsoever. I think they are highly immature. I think they are highly uncalled for. And if you do it, then I got to ask you, how old are you, man? You know what I mean? Like, how old are you? For you to come out here, oh, toilet talk, this and that. Like, okay, we get it. This is what people do in the bathroom. Why do you need to, constantly emphasize on it? But on any regard, Victory says it's a great card. I'm interested in all the fights besides the females. Well, you know what, man? That is what is surprising about this, right? I like the Wei Li Zhang fight. Because let me tell you, it adds the stackness of this card. You see, this card is already stacked enough with Islam Makhachev, right? It is already, yes, it is already stacked with Islam Makhachev because Islam Makhachev is moving up a weight class. So as a result of moving up a weight class, well, guess what, man? So is Wei Li Zhang. And what does Wei Li Zhang and Islam Makhachev have in common? They both had to vacate their belt. Hybrid says, bro sounds smart as shit. Thank you very much, my man. I happen to read a lot. I'm glad that you say that I sound smart as ish. When I go to the hood, guess what they say to me? Oh, nigga, you trying to sound white. You trying to sound white. You know what I mean? That's what they say to me in the hood. Little did they know I'm probably the most dangerous guy in the hood. You know what I mean? But yeah, let's not go there. Okay, excuse that I said that. I'm talking way ahead of myself right now, but please disregard the last thing that I said. Yeah, I'm a very nice guy. I'm a civilian. Yeah. He says, wait a minute. Leo, the guy, says, wait a minute. What do you mean by wait a minute? But on any regards, Hybridation says, reading is a very good hobby. It makes you a great speaker. Yes, that's entirely one of the reasons why. He says, what are your thoughts on Israel, Department of Nonsense? Well, I can tell you that Israel, obviously, as a government, well, let me just say this in a positive site. Because, look, before you want to get flagged, right, you want to say positive things, and then you can go on to, smash them after. So it goes like this, right? Israel is one of those states that is extremely inclusive, especially for a Middle Eastern state, right? So as a result of that, they allow gays into their parliament, into their government. They allow Christians, Yazidis. They allow Jewish people. They allow, well, obviously they allow Jewish people, but they allow secular, non-religious Jewish people into their government. In fact, that, in my opinion, I think is a primary problem, right? See, there's not enough religion being emphasized with, with Israel. even though they claim to be a Jewish state, I don't believe that they are entirely Jewish in the way that they conduct themselves, if you know what I mean. So that is my thoughts on Israel. So, all right, let's get to it right now, right? Full card prediction right now. 11 minutes into the stream. Okay, and then the beginning is... That's what I'm going to call it, banter and intro. Okay, so, yeah, all right. All right, so 11 minutes into it, we will start with UFC 320, or 322. MP says they put our homeboy Nickel on the prelims. Yes, I saw that. I don't think that's a good idea, right? Bo Nickel is not exactly one of my favorite fighters out there, right? I mean, he's a great fighter, but, you know, I don't like the whole, oh, I can beat Khamzat thing or this and that. I'm not feeling that. But, hey, listen, you know what? He doesn't deserve to be in the prelims, in my opinion, okay? So, starting off with the first fight of the card, okay? He says, I agree. What a terrible decision. What's up, brother? Mark Haney, shout out to you, my man. You excited for the fights this weekend or what? I'm assuming you're probably going to have a fight party in your house out in the Bay Area this weekend, right? So shout out to you on that. All right, man. So 322, first fight of the night. Okay, we got the Sacramento guy, Borshev, taking on Matias Camillo. Well, I tell you what, lightweight division, listen, guys, understand, I'm going to have a biased take on this one. I'm going to go with the Sacramento guy, okay? But let's take a look at where these guys have fought before. Matias Camillo. Let's see where he's fought at before, okay? So Gabe Green has been choked out by Gabe Green. I can see Borshev choking him out on this one, probably busting him up on the feet. He did win against... okay, those were regional fights. Okay, so he had a UFC debut, lost that one, and now he's coming back to take on Borshev. So I'm going to go with Borshev on this one. Let's see where Borshev has been in his career as of late. Mark Haney says, I'm stoked. You're right. I got my nephew and a couple of friends coming through the pad with my son. Should be fun. Yeah, dude, I already knew off top. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so as I was saying, yeah, got a little cut off there for a second. As I was saying, when you are in this channel, for sure, you are going to be the type to have a fight party and all of that, right? You are for sure going to be throwing fight parties. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me one bit. So, yeah, because you're a hardcore fan. You're going to be in here. You're a hardcore fan. So, for sure, you're going to be tapped in. So, next fight, Chepe Mariscal taking on Pat Zabatini. So, I'm going to go with Chepe Mariscal on this one. Chepe Mariscal, let's see here. Where did Chepe Mariscal come from? Coming off of a win from Ricardo Ramos, Damian Mayos. He says, my fight parties are watching with you guys. There you go. Mine too, right? Mine too. Obviously, as a Muslim guy, I don't go out there and drink or anything like that. But, you know, why not, you know, make it lucrative for myself and, you know, just do a YouTube channel about it, right? So, Face Master says, I just woke up with a chubby and neat. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. You are absolutely disgusting for that, right? You are absolutely disgusting for saying that. I should absolutely ban you, but I'm not, because saying that is not, well, it's not the type of offense that would destroy your YouTube channel, but it is funny to some people, not funny for me, but I'm going to let you have it. So, very disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself, Face Smasher. But in any regards, Mike Long says, do you have any fights you personally think were fixed or manipulated in the name of money? Man, there's so many to go off of, right? I mean, there's so many fights. How about this? The Ben Askren versus Jorge Masvidal fight. But I think that's genuine. There was a lot of hatred going in there with Jorge Masvidal against Ben, right? Ben came in there shooting in, so it kind of makes sense for that to happen. Anyways, back to Chepe, right? Damian Jackson has a win over Damian Jackson. Morgan Sherrier has a win over Morgan Sherrier, which, by the way, is a former Cage Warriors champion out in England, but Morgan Sherrier fights in France. So, yeah, that's a big win. This is why I'm going with Chepe on this one, him being able to beat a guy like that. Pat Sabatini, let's take a look at where Pat Sabatini, he says, this dude just gave a post-analysis of Bro's comment like a UFC reporter. He says, dude just gave a post-analysis of Bro's comment. There you go. Thank you, MP. Shout out to you, MP, for noticing that. Okay, so Pat Sabatini coming off of a win. Oh, wow, this is his UFC debut, Pat Sabatini. Okay, no, it's not his UFC debut. Hold up. He jumped back and forth. Okay, no, that's grappling. Okay, I'm sorry, that's grappling. Okay, no, he has been in the UFC for a while. Okay, so has a win over Brito. Has a win over Jonathan Pierce, rear naked choke. Yeah, man, I think this is going to be a decision win for Chepe Mariscal, that one. So that's who I'm going with on that one. Malcolm Wellmaker taking on Cody Handon. I'm going to go with Malcolm Wellmaker on this one. You want to know why? He's undefeated. On top of that, man, let's see here. Has a win over Chris Motino, knocks him out, knocks out Cameron Simon, knocks out, man, listen, this is a knockout artist. He's going to knock out Haddon. Now let's take a look at where his opponent Haddon had been, okay? Cody Haddon from Australia, 8-1, pretty good record, pretty decent. Has a unanimous decision win over Dan Argata. Has a win over Billy Brand. I'm sorry. Has a win over Raja Shippen. Okay, that's in the regionals. Okay, Hex fights. Okay, yeah, man, I'm going with Wellmaker on this one. I'm gonna go with second round knockout with Malcolm Wellmaker. Roman Kopylov taking on Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop. There it is. This is where the card starts to get stacked. Mark Haney says, I'm excited to see Leon fight and excited to see Morales fight. Okay, we're going to get to that Morales fight in a second. So, Gregory Rodriguez and Roman Kopylov. I'm going to go with Rodriguez on this one. I think he's going to knock him out. I think he's got strong power. Roman Kopylov has good wrestling. I think he will take him down a few times, but Gregory will get right back up. And I think that he's going to knock him dead as a result of that, right? Now, coming off of a win from Jack Hermanson, he knocked out Jack Hermanson, got knocked out by Jared Cannonier, so he's a do-or-die type of fighter. Christian Leroy Duncan has a win over him. By the way, Christian Leroy Duncan, with that crazy win over the weekend, has knocked out Brad Tavares, Dennis Tulolian back in 2023. All right, so he's a kill or be killed type of fighter, right? He's either going to knock you out or he'll get knocked out himself. And I think Roman Kopylov has his hands full. Let's take a look at where Roman Kopylov has been all throughout his career. So he's got a loss against Paulo Costa, unanimous decision. Chris Curtis has knocked out Chris Curtis. Cesar Almeida has a split decision, has been choked out by Anthony Hernandez, knocks out Josh Friend. Okay, I'm going to go with knockout by Gregory, by RoboCop. RoboCop's going to get this one by knockout, probably in a second round. It'll be a tough fight for what it will be for that moment of time, but then I think eventually he will knock him out. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Bo Nickel, Rudolph Vieira. Now, a lot of people were very upset at the fact that Bo Nickel got knocked down from the prelims, from the main card to the prelims. Well, I tell you what, man, when you take a look at the main card, there's Gerald Mershot and Kyle Dawkins, right? I'm going to go with Gerald Mershot on that one, by the way. Okay, Angela Hill, I'm going to go with her on that one by decision. And then Bongsugar Sakurayev taking on Eric McConico. Okay, I had to say that twice. So, yeah. So, okay. I could understand the McConico fight, even the Aaron Blanchfield fight. even a Sean Brady and Morales fight, but you're talking about Gerald Meerschaert and Kyle Dawkins you're going to put over Bo Nickel, but I get it. The placement is because they want a main event for the prelim main event. You understand? They need a main event for the prelim main event, so that's how they're going to do it. So, yeah, okay, I'm going to go with Bo Nickel. It's going to be a unanimous decision. He's going to out-wrestle him all throughout this fight if he even gets him down. Now, imagine if Dolfo Vieira actually knocks him out. Where is Bo Nickel going to be after that? He's going to become the middleweight version of Aaron Pico, right? Sean Brady, too, has lots of good fights. Victory says, if not, tries to strike the whole fight, I'm going to freak out. Wow, yeah, if he does try to, yeah, I can see that. He says, yeah, I want to see the Leon fight too. Really curious about Bo, what Bo is going to look like. Let's talk. Official account says, I got a question. I made a mental health app for my school. For context, I'm 10. Should I manage it? No, I think you should have other people manage it for you, right? People who are a lot older, people who have more experience in these things. And yeah. That's what I think, right? More importantly, your parents. That is, if you trust your parents, right? But yeah, Tracy Cortez is yes. Yes, man. Daily Dose Motivation says, hey, bro, Islam or JDM via what? Okay, well, we're going to get to that. Stay tuned because I'm going to get to that, right? So, okay, Bo Nickel, I'm going to go with unanimous decision, but don't be surprised if Dolfo Vieira comes out here with a knockout, right? Surprises him. He says, God bless her for show. Yeah, LOL. Yeah. So Gerald Meerschaert, Kyle Dawkins. Yes, I'm going to go with Gerald Meerschaert by decision, if not by submission. Fatima Klein taking on Angela Hill. Angela Hill is a marathon runner when it comes to the fight game, right? Constantly in there, right? I think she had one year where she had like 4 fights or just consecutive fights, one after another. I'm going with Angela Hill on that one by decision. The strawweight fights in the women's division usually ends up like that. Sakarayev, I'm going to go with him by decision. Okay, UFC middleweight. This is the homeboy of Khamzat Chimaev. And Khamzat said he's better than him, which is crazy, right? And he's in the middleweight division. Adam Shaw says, shut up. What exactly are you saying shut up for? You are an MMA channel where people come to listen to me yap about MMA. So if you're not here for any of those things, then get the F out, right? We don't need you. Get the fuck out of here. You're a horrible fighter. I'm trying to do a little Canelo impression. But anyways, you are more than welcome here, Adam Shaw. But on any regard, you shut up, okay? You shut up and you let me talk because I'm the star of this show and you're nothing more than just the guy saying shut up to everybody for no reason. Imagine that. Imagine growing up realizing that you are the guy that tells people to shut up for apparently no reason. Do you feel better about yourself? Do you feel like you have accomplished something? Do you feel like you have done something good with your life? And your answer is probably no. Adam is the real star, Justin says. Yeah, if he was Adam 22, and even Adam 22 is not the real star of what he has going on. He is just the content creator who is not the star, right? He has no jumper, but everybody who comes in no jumper is a bigger star than Adam, at least, well, for the most part. And then let's not even mention his wife and all of that. Adam the GOAT. When you say Adam the GOAT, do you mean Adam 22? Do you mean Adam Smith? Or do you mean this Adam Shaw idiot who doesn't even deserve to have a Shaw in his name, right? I should have T.J. Dillashaw Shaw your ass up out of here, you know, with a head kick to your face. Bang! Up out of here. All right, next fight. So Bugzarian, I'm going to go with him by submission, first round. Aaron Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. Now, I know Tracy Cortez is a favorite. And with reasons being of aesthetic reasons, right? But I will say this, right? Women that usually fight because of the fact that they have an image or this and that don't often do good. Unless, of course, you're Mackenzie Dern, right? She's done great lately, but this is Erin Blanchfield's fight. She's going to win by a decision. She's going to out-wrestle Tracy Cortez. She's going to have control time over and over again, and it's going to be a win. Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. I think this is Michael Morales' first loss right here, right? Take a look at what happened with Leon Edwards. People thought that Sean Brady was going to lose that fight because Leon Edwards is the former champion. Leandro says, wait, did you just say you'd kick Dillashaw? No, I said I would have him kick Dillashaw. He says, you got 5 viewers, Buttercup. Well, it is 11 now. And to be quite honest with you, let's see, how many, right now, it's actually 137 people in here. So just so you know, and that's only within the first 60 minutes. Did we even go over 60 minutes yet? No, probably not. But on any regard, yeah, just keep talking. You're the Buttercup, Justin. Okay, so, oh, and there's 17 right there, right? So what are you even talking about? So no, I didn't say, Leandro, I didn't say that I was going to kick Dillashaw. I said I would have TJ Dillashaw kick Adam Shaw in the face. He says, are you Muslim? I am, brother. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Daily dose of motivation. Okay, very interesting name, man. Okay, that's a very interesting name. Motivation. What sort of motivation do you give to other people? He says, yeah, Buttercup, keep talking these nuts. There you go, man. Candy over here dissing you. I don't know if that's a diss on me or a diss on you, but he says, yeah, don't respond to these guys. He says, oh, I was hoping you'd kick Dillashaw. My bad. No, man, I love TJ Dillashaw. For those of you that don't know, yeah, TJ Dillashaw is yeah, one of my favorite fighters of all time in here, and with good reason, because I've actually trained with him. He says, mashallah, brother, inshallah, Islam wins. Yes, it's a diss on Buttercup. Okay, a diss on Buttercup. Great. I'm no Buttercup, so you're definitely not dissing me. So that's that. All right. Victory says Kyrie is about to flex on these fools. There it is. Christian Moron says TJ Killishaw. Yes, he's absolutely a Killishaw for sure. So, all right. So, Sean Brady, Michael Morales. I'm going to go with Sean Brady on this one, right? Michael Morales is undefeated, right? He doesn't know any defeat, but I think that Sean Brady is going to out-wrestle him, out-grind him. On top of that, maybe even submit him somewhere in the 3rd round. Sean Brady was destined to be champion up until he got beat up by Belal Muhammad, and then Belal Muhammad went on to become champion, right? So, Sean Brady, he's got a better chance of this one, and by the end of it all, it's 18-1 versus 18-0. By the end of this fight, Michael Morales' record is going to look like Sean Brady's record right now. Okay? So Kyrie's going to stand on these boys' heads. There you go, Leandro. Christian Moron says, I heard on a Joe Rogan Experience that he snaked his old trainers and teammates to join another team with no notice. Okay, so you want to talk about that before I get into the Beneil Dariush and Benoit Saint-Denis fight? I'll give it to you like this, Christian, okay? TJ Dillashaw was under no obligation to just train with Team Alpha Male. You understand? You understand how ridiculous that is, right? You see, Uriah Faber, as much as I love the guy and as much as I've been around him and, you know, I've trained with him and everybody in that camp, the one thing that I never really liked about Team Alpha Male was they had this gang mentality, right? And it's like, listen, I already know enough gangs in California. I don't need them in MMA. You understand? You know, but that's the kind of mentality that he operated under. It was a gang-like mentality where you can't train with other people. Now, look, gangs allow you to be friendly with other gangs too, but within the context that they are allies of some sort, right? But with TJ Dillashaw, he was aligning himself with what he would perceive to be an ally, which is that of Dwayne Ludwig. But later on, Dwayne Ludwig became an enemy of Team Alpha Male, and as a result, this is what you got out of the whole entire situation. So, all right, so Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis. Ooh, I'm going to go with Beneil Dariush on this one by unanimous decision. Okay, so Benoit Saint-Denis, okay, he seems to beat the guys that he needs to beat, right? For example, he beats the Mark Diacases of the world, but he can't beat Renato Moicano. Is Renato Moicano a better fighter than Beneil Dariush? The answer is no. So therefore, I'm going to go with Beneil Dariush just based on that alone, right? Look, French Special Forces, yada, yada, this, that, and the other. Yeah, you come from a country that is very limited in mixed martial arts. Unless, of course, you're Cyril Gane, and then, unless, of course, you're Francis Ngannou. And at the end of it, hey, what does he do? He goes and he trains in America. He says, terrorist. I hope you're not talking to me. I love America. Mark Haney says, the Gracies were like that big time. You can't train anywhere but us, LOL. And once stepped out, it's bad. Yes. Yes, that's what it is. Uriah has that very similar mentality. Although, a lot of the Team Alpha Male guys train with other Sacramento gyms, right? So is it different that, you know, let's say if you're TJ training with guys from Colorado who are a world level gym, right? You see what I'm saying? He says, where the butt at? Haha. Well, we're in California, so we got plenty of those, right? So, yeah, Uriah doesn't seem to mind Team Alpha Male fighters training with people outside of it doesn't seem to mind fighters training in Sacramento. Like, for example, we got Gold's MMA where Hernandez and Griffin fight and train out of. There's guys that cross-train there all the time. There's multiple Muay Thai gyms, boxing gyms, individual jiu-jitsu gyms out here. And they train in all those places. So it's like, you know, it's no problem, right? Uriah has no problem with that. But the minute you step out of Sacramento and you train with other guys from another world level gym, they're not going to have it, right? So, yeah. Okay, but yes, I'm going to Beneil Dariush on this one. Now, moving on. We got Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. Who are we going to go with that one? I'm going with Leon Edwards based on experience alone. Now, I know the fight nerds have had their run for quite a minute, and then they've had some losses along the way. This is where the ceiling stops for the fight nerds, and I think it also stops with Leon Edwards, right? I mean, they've already been exposed except for John Silva, but Carlos Prates, I think, yes, he's going to... I could see Leon Edwards knocking him out. Philly Gamer MC says, sub. Thank you so much, my man. Thank you so much for the subscription. Shout outs to Philly, man. Shout outs to everybody in Philly. I think you probably sub because I look like a Philly guy. If you think about it, right? Tell me every guy in Philly got this because, you know, guess what? Philadelphia is a Muslim town. But also shout outs to Jaron Boots Ennis, obviously a big name out of the boxing world in Philadelphia, keeping that Philadelphia fighting spirit in the game, in the world of boxing. And also, speaking of Philadelphia, obviously Sean Brady trains and fights out of Philadelphia, but also trains with Jaron Ennis. Q says, dude, why are you ignoring me? Did I ignore you? What did you say here? I didn't see anything that you said here, so I don't know. Christian says, do you think TJ and Cody should rematch? No. I think it was, I think it was one-sided, both of those fights. I don't see what a third one would do. Plus, TJ is weighing at 180 pounds right now. TJ is almost as big as me, okay? You know what I mean? So he's not making 135 anytime soon, unless, of course, Cody wants to fight at like 155 or some... you know, strange, number like that is off the beaten path of what they had previously competed in. Prates is a ticking time bomb. His reign will end soon. Yes. And that right there is where it stops, is going to be with Leon Edwards. Okay. Co-main event of the evening. You got Weili Zhang taking on Valentina Shevchenko. Weili Zhang obviously went on to... vacate her belt, which is why Mackenzie Dern was champion last week, okay? And now she's taking on Valentina Shevchenko. By the way, very similar occurrence to Islam Makhachev. So Weili Zhang and Islam are both on the same trajectory right now. Danny says, The look and the voice are so mismatched, it's disturbing. Are you talking about me? Or you're talking about me that you know what, man? I'm going to mark that comment right there. That I've never had anyone say that to me before, right? I know that I have a strange voice, right? Like, look, I always joked about if me and Myron Gaines were to fight, right? What would the press conference be like? You know, me and Myron Gaines have a very similar voice, right? We have a very similar voice. We don't have this, like, you know, very deep DMX type of voice, right? I mean, we don't have a Mike Tyson voice either, so we're kind of like somewhere in between that. Imagine if me and Myron started yelling at each other, right? Oh, oh, right? It wouldn't have that, you know, Jiri Prochazka yell to it like, roar, roar, like none of that. It doesn't have any of that going on. But you know, yeah, you're right. It is fascinating. Thank you. He says, I don't have pants on right now. Ew, Todd, you're disgusting. You are absolutely disgusting for mentioning that. You naughty, naughty little boy, you, yeah? Why would you say something like that? I don't understand why. Didn't Ian Gary beat him? Yes, he did. Yes. And this is the next path that he takes is Leon Edwards. I don't know why. I think Leon Edwards should be fighting Ian Gary here, but of course that is because Ian Gary is fighting Bilal Muhammad next week in Qatar. So Knox says, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam, wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh to you, my brother, shout out to you. So, all right, Weili Zhang and Valentina Shevchenko. I'm going to Valentina, right? Weili Zhang, I think, is very talented. I think has great knockout power, but so does Valentina Shevchenko, and Valentina Shevchenko is the much more well-rounded fighter in here. I'm going to Valentina Shevchenko. I'm going to be very generous about this decision, okay? It's going to go to a decision. Naga's hairline goes back to Uganda. Huh? Are you talking to me? Are you talking about my hairline? All right, well, whatever, man. I could not. He says, can you say a 6'7"? Yeah, what is the 6'7" thing about, by the way? What is all this thing that the kids are saying nowadays with a 6'7" thing? So, final prediction. Okay, Valentina Shevchenko decision. Now, on to Jack Della Madalena and Islam Makhachev. I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev, third round submission. There you have it. That is my prediction for UFC 322. Okay? And yes, Islam Makhachev is, yeah, he says, yeah, I'm old and like to know 67. Yes, 67 mangoes in Jaden's bus with Adrian. Can you say that? Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not going to say that just because you're asking me to say that, because then you might just set me up into saying something. Next thing you know, you're going to clip me up saying all types of weird things. And the next thing you know, there's a clip of me somewhere on YouTube saying, okay. Anyways, but yeah, man, I'm on fire today, man. I'm on a different, you know, different type of trajectory right now. All right, so Islam Makhachev. Let's take a look at Islam Makhachev right now.
Makhachev starts by securing a collar tie, then snaps his opponent down to break posture. Sensing danger, his opponent tries to disengage and stand back up. Anticipating this, Makhachev swings his head to the outside, maintaining pressure as the opponent looks up to escape the downward force. Makhachev capitalizes, locking in a front headlock and securing the head and arm. From there, he switches seamlessly into his signature dance choke, timing until he gets the tap. Can Makhachev beat JDM at 170? Islam Makhachev is looking huge ahead of his 170 debut. Makhachev starts by securing a collar tie.
I was told that that gentleman that that Islam was grappling with was a UAE soldier, right? So that was, yeah, that was a UAE soldier that he was grappling with. He says they're just a bunch of kids. Okay, yeah. Individual says, yo, can you shout out my friend Nick? Yes, I'm gonna say hi, Nick. I know you don't have a friend named Nick. I'm sure you got a friend named Nick Fuentes. By the way, shout out to Nick Fuentes. Is it bad that I'm becoming a Nick Fuentes fan? Let me know in the comment section below. He says, your mods need to boot these fools. He says, I sub, brother. Thank you so much, Knox. Shout out to you on that. Individual Human Thing says, yo, can you shout out my friend Nick? Nick, I'm not going to say the rest, okay? Now, you're allowed to say it on text, but to say it out loud, it is just blatantly racist, so I cannot do that. He says, pray for Raja. What's going on with Raja? Travis. What is going on with Raja? Is there something going on with Raja? Hold on a second here. Let me see if there's some sort of breaking news going on with Raja Jackson, because there's a reason why you're saying that. But what is the, okay, Raja Jackson pleads not guilty. Okay, back in court on November 24th. Okay. Lamb says, I'm in the, ew, man, why are you telling me that? Why are you telling me that, Santiago? He says, who you got winning on Saturday? Well, I just actually went through the whole entire card. But if you're asking for the main event, Islam and JDM, I'm going with Islam third round submission. Travis says, he let the rage baiters get him. I just sympathize with him, bro. Oh, yeah. I got you. Yeah, man, Raja needs to get what he deserves. You know, like, I don't know, man. You know, I don't know about, look, man, you know how it is, bro. You know, you're a street dude, Mark. You know what I'm saying? You've been around, you know, some dudes. You know what it's like. I don't like seeing other people go to prison. You know what I mean? Like, look, here's the thing. He says, yeah, ignore me, bro. What did I ignore? Hold on. What did I ignore? You said something about, you know, what do you call it? Like saying your friend Nick. And I know that's not what you mean. You were trying to insinuate some sort of racial innuendo, but, you know, that's on you. He says, yo, can you shout out my friend Islam Makhachev? Okay, well, Islam Makhachev is your friend. Shout out to Islam Makhachev. I hope you win this weekend. Malhash Chef. Okay. Hey, bro, what's going on here? Oh, you know, just having a little bit of banter here with the boys, you know. YouTube channel 7. Can you say Jaden's bus is here? Whoa. Okay, I think I just read it right there. He says, nobody wants to see anybody go to prison, but I want to see justice more. Okay. I see what you're saying, right? It's sort of like, yo, if we're dealing with a bunch of pedos, it's kind of like, all right, listen, you know, this guy's got to go. He's got to get up out of here, right? We got to get him. We got to get rid of him. You know, but it's like, yeah, if it's anything else, you know, like other crimes that are sort of like forgivable, I guess we would not ask for that. But I see what you're saying. He says, what's going on with Raja? Any updates? Oh, no updates. Other than he's back in court for November 24th from last I checked. Scrant says, let it grow like did a long ago. And just like the tiny seed, but it's a really time to let it grow. Okay. Yeah, he says, what's good, bro? Shout out to you, see you. Victory says, I agree. Travis Scant says, hi. Daily Dose of Motivation says, I'm ACC in a hotel in New York. I will watch the... Oh, that's right. Yes, you are the guy that said you're going to be watching the fights live, man. Shout out to you on that. I remember you. I remember you on the chat. Okay. Mark Haney says, Raja let a bunch of 14-year-old kids rage bait him into that incident that happened 30 minutes prior that he could have calmed himself. I think he was still insecure from getting dropped in the sparring live. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, right? Like, if you're going to be insecure about that, maybe you should not show your sparring sessions. Look, there's a reason why guys do not show their sparring sessions, right? But because he is in this world of streaming, the fact that he's obligated to stream, you know, far longer than what I would stream for, let's say, you know, a UFC card, right? You know, it's like everything has to be content. So Travis says, Mark, you're out to lunch, champ. It's okay. Mark Haney says, Travis been called worse by better people. LOL. Travis says, I don't think he was insecure, mate. Head trauma causes emotional instability. There you go. Now, that's a fact right there. I'm going to mark that comment right there, right? Travis, that's a very good point right there. Yes, head trauma does cause a certain level of instability. Victory says, that's the part of it, Mark, but he was told to get his receipt to actually hit him until he was pulled off. He obviously took it far, though. Yeah, you know what? That's a problem, isn't it? Right? It's kind of a problem. Olaf says, are you unstable? I can be. If you try and you mess with me in any kind of way, I'm going to have no mercy upon you, and I will show you absolute emotional instability to the max. Yes, I can be. If I'm being provoked in any kind of way. Now, look, if I was in Raja, he says, oh, yeah. Oh, he says, oh, he definitely can be. Yes. Yes, unstable. Yes. Mark Haney says, exactly. He evacuated what receipt was and went overboard. Okay, so, okay, I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm not a 25-year-old, right? So if somebody like Psycho Stu was to do that to me, right, I would, you know what I would do? Honestly, I would play along. I'd be, oh, snap, you hit me. Oh, like I would play along, right? Especially if it's content or this and that, and then on top of that, as an MMA guy also, I've never been involved in, a professional wrestling, type of, Exila says, do you sell cars? I used to own a car dealership. So yeah, I used to own cars. He says, are you a car salesman? I was, yes. The reason why I don't do that anymore is because obviously it is haram to sell cars because of the interest that you charge in it. So I stopped doing it. But yes, I've done it. Yeah, I've done it for, a certain, period of my life. That was like probably 10 years ago. So very long time ago, I've already, been done with that. So it says Raja redefined, evacuated the definition of receipt. Then that was an excuse to fight in the middle of a pretend fight. LOL. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So, being a 25-year-old kid versus, being a 40-year-old man who's sort of been around already, you kind of understand, right? Like, and, and it's like, well, the emotional maturity part of yourself will say, well, how am I a bitch for letting a guy who's a pro wrestler hit me with a can and didn't really hit me with a can? He says, don't act tough, sweetie. He says, buddy Mark, you've pulled your gun if a random smashed you in the head with a foreign object. Don't act tough. He says, do you think Islam is better than Khabib as a fighter yet? Yeah, I would say so. I would say Islam is a much better fighter, much more well-rounded than Khabib. That's, absolutely, a fact. You know what I mean? In terms of that, yeah, he's definitely much better than Khabib, I would say. Right? Much more well-rounded as well, right? So that's something, that you have to understand is how well-rounded he is. Victory says, well, he also has no pro wrestling experience, so he didn't really even know what that meant. But you're right. The rage bait was a massive part of it all. And also, listen, I've made a video about this. I told you guys that I think Rampage is a horrible dad, right? And I've gone into details about that. If you want to know why, check out my video on that I made when that incident happened. Mark Haney says, Travis, at the moment it happened, yes, 30 minutes later, I would have, LOL, you're right, I would have done it on the spot and wouldn't have waited to take a suplex unbeknownst to a fake performer. Noon says, Khabib cuts massive weight. He says, yes, thoughts on the Jones-Aspinall situation. Well, that's kind of typical of John Jones, right? Like, we already know what it is with Tom Aspinall. Yes, everybody is calling him a coward. Everybody is calling him a bitch. Even Brendan Schaub went at Aspinall, well, in a joking manner, right? He was telling a story about his son who had a baseball game this weekend. He was a pitcher, right? And something went in his eye, and then he continued to pitch anyway, right? Which is sort of I mean, it's not equivalent, to that matter, but whatever, right? To him, it mattered in some kind of way. He says the problem was diffused it by telling him he could get it back later. He says, do not miss that. Yes, the problem was that they diffused it by telling him to get back at it later. Yes, that's really what it is. He says, yeah, if he would have knocked out Stu out right after it happened, it would have been no issue. So, you know what, man? I know a lot of homies that are like that. You know what I mean? And Mark, I'm sure you've seen a lot of guys like this too, especially, on the northern side of things, right? Where it's like you're at a party, especially, look, you know how it is, you as a northerner, right? You know how it is when you're all in the same clique, right? Let's say there's an OG or another YG, you know, in the camp or whatever, right? You know, starts messing with the other guy, but you know that you and him are from, you know, the same clique, from the same gang, same neighborhood, same set, and all of that, right? Okay, you're not gonna automatically, you know, fire off on the dude that just disrespected you, right? Especially if he is allies with, you know, fellow homies of yours, right? Or is an ally, or is, you know, part of the hood. So you're gonna delay the reaction, and then when nobody is around, you be like, "Hey, what'd you say to me, homie?" And then next thing you know, shit pops off, right? It's just, you know, sometimes those things happen. Mark says it's ridiculous. Raja, okay, yeah, I read that part. Oh wait, no, I didn't read this part. Yes, it's ridiculous. Raja didn't fight at the time of being assaulted. The entire temperature was taken down. Then he assaulted on the stage. Victory says a valid point on Travis. Known says John will dust off any of these guys. Come on, let's be honest. Yeah, I agree. Look, there's a wrestling factor, right? If you're talking about the Tom Aspinall fight, there is a wrestling factor going on there that I don't think he has really considered. Travis says, yes, they did. They definitely told him to chill and can get back later that night. Daily Dose of Motivation says, if Islam beats JDM, who do you think wins at 170, Ilya or Makhachev? Makhachev. Even at 155 or 170, it is Makhachev. By the way, how about Ilya Topuria and his current divorce that he has going on right now, right? Boy, the Denelt boys really nail it on the head with that one. What do you expect when you meet somebody that's from Miami? But I don't want to get too red pill here or Myron Gaines, Andrew Tate on you guys, but that's the reality of the situation. So, yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. All right. Oh, Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis right here. Travis says, all right, anyways, for those who care and have a bad temper too, for real, prayers up for Raja and have a good time, brother. Well, there you go, right? You know, because any of us could have been in that similar situation, right? Because we don't know what triggers us sometimes, right? We all have different trigger points, so we just don't know exactly where all of that would lead us to. So,
who was the most famous? Me or?
Let's see.
What's up, man? What's your name, bro?
Okay, wow, nice to meet you, man.
I just got a dance off.
Oh, you just got this one?
Why are you running?
Okay, nice. Okay, why you still got CrossFit in your neck?
Yeah, well, I kind of follow both. I used
Okay.
to Allah the Messiah, right?
Oh man, okay, this guy's trolling.
There was a debate on TikTok. They were like, is Jesus a Messiah, or is he just the son of God, or is he a prophet? But it says in the...
Yo, Daily Dose, you think that that's what it is? What you said about Ilya, you think that's the reason why all of that happened? Let me know. Let me know if that's what you think happened. I mean, look, when I look at Ilya Topuria, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Vega from Street Fighter, right? Because Spanish fighter, this and that, right? What was Vega known for? Vega was known for being a very vanity-driven type of person, right? So, I don't know, man. Ilya Topuria, you know, may not be really that much different in that regard, right? So, yeah. Okay. Let's see here. What else? What else? Okay, so Daily Joe says, nah, bro, Ilya tries to be Connor too much. Yes, I think that right there is probably the reason why, you know, he has the type of tattoos that he has. It's probably the reason why he comes across the way that he does. I mean, yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. He says Ilya is from money, right? No, I think you're mistaking him for what's his name? Armin Sarukian. By the way, let's check out what Armin Sarukian said about fighter pay, right? This is very interesting right here. Armin Sarukian. Let's see here. Victory says, I know his wife had her own money. Okay, doing what exactly? I mean, you know, obviously being from Miami, it's a very expensive place to live. That's how Ilya met her. So, Yeah, she was obviously still in Miami for that time being. So let's see what Armin Sarukian said about fighter pay here. Okay, so here it is from Sherdog. Okay, so Armin Sarukian says, on UFC earnings, you're fighting at a loss most of the time. And this is coming from the richest guy in MMA prior to coming to MMA. You know what I mean? He says, who's better, Ilya or Bofa? I don't know who Bofa is. He says, does Armin deserve a title shot? I think he does. I think, yeah, I just because, you know what, he got injured in the Islam fight, you know, regardless of what you think that may have been about, I mean, yeah, he deserves it. He deserves it. Victory says, I don't know if she was some type of model or something. She had more money than him until maybe recently. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay, Miami, that makes sense. Okay. So, all right. Even the top UFC fighters allegedly don't have much left from their salaries, okay? Top lightweight contender Armin Sarukian recently revealed that he earns roughly around $300,000 a show and win, which means around $150 for a loss. Armin Sarukian has to pay 30% of that purse as taxes, and the remaining amount, well, he pays to the gym, allocates to the gym, 5% to the coach, 15% to his manager. Imagine that. You pay the manager more than the coach. Okay. I guess manager is where it's at in the fight game. So while there is a scope of earnings at a bonus, Sarukian revealed that he fights at a loss most of the time. Now, according to Sarukian, he would barely be earning anything if not for sponsorships. Sarukian said in a recent interview on YouTube channel, interviewer, so you get 300K? Armin says, no, that's for the win. Interviewer says, so if you lose, around what, 150? Armin says, yeah, roughly. And for that, 30, yeah, so what I had mentioned, 30% of the taxes, 50% goes out, 5 to the gym, 5 to the coaches, 15 to the manager. You prepare for 2 to 3 months and end up with 0. Interviewer says, but if you win, you get a bonus, right? Yeah, that's the motivation, but in general, you're kind of fighting at a loss most of the time. Now, the interviewer also says, so the main income from sponsorships, right? He says, yeah, sponsorships, that's how you actually make money. Now, Sarukian, 22-3, was originally scheduled to challenge Islam for the title earlier this year before he was forced to be out due to an injury. Dana White made it clear he wasn't impressed with Sarukian pulling out and made sure he didn't get the next title shot. Okay, so Sarukian is now scheduled to headline UFC Qatar against Dan Hooker. So that's a week after, yeah, after this week. So, yeah, that is going to be at the ABHA Arena in Doha, right? So if there's anybody here that's in Qatar and you're going to see that, let me know. You know, isn't it crazy, right? Back in the days when you think about, oh, I'm going to Qatar, you think you're going to like some crazy off-the-wall scary place. But in reality, what you are really going to now is a place that holds UFC fights, people that actually have real human beings there that are trying to just live their life on a daily basis. He says, who wins between Merab versus Umar 2? You know what? I would like to see Umar fight a couple more times before he fights Merab. I think that's the kind of trajectory that he's on right now, right? He needs to fight. Yeah, he needs to fight a couple more times because even though he had that previous win, you know, I think that he needs to do a little bit more to prepare for someone like that. It says, everyone like and subscribe. Shout out to you, Daily Dose. Shout out to you on that, man. So, okay, so, yeah, that's basically Armin Sarukian's thoughts on, on that. He says, wow, I thought you would say Omar for sure. Yeah, that's what I would want, but if he was to fight Merab right now, he would lose. I'm just being honest about it. He would absolutely lose. So he needs to fight a couple more times. Maybe get a fight with O'Malley. Omar versus O'Malley, winner gets a title shot. There you go. That's what I'm looking at right there. Franklin NJ, hey man, shout out to you, Franklin. Let me know what part of the world you are from, my man, and thank you to everyone that has liked and subscribed. So let's see, where are we right now? So, okay, now, all right, as I promised to you guys, right, I was going to tell you why I don't think the FBI is going to arrest anyone with this whole entire situation. Houston, Texas. Shout out to Houston, Texas, my man. He says, what are your thoughts on Islam versus Jack? Well, I did say earlier, if you didn't, if you can rewind back later on when the live stream is over, but what I did say was that I believe Islam is going to submit him in the third round. So that is my official prediction for this one. I did do a preview and a prediction in the beginning minutes of this live stream, so you can rewind back and check that out, or you can stay with us here right now and listen to us talk about why the UFC and the FBI are not going to have anyone arrested. He says, I agree with that prediction. Shout out to you. Daily Dose Motivation says, UFC 323 is kind of boring card like Marab as a main event. Come on. 323. Yeah, man, because you know what? They were trying to fill that up, and guess what? Marab was the only one that was willing to, raise his hand and say, yeah, I'm down to fight for that one. So, yeah, that's kind of what we got going on here, is just Marab was just a man who was willing to raise his hand and say yes. So he says, Marab deserves it, man. Yes, I agree. He definitely, absolutely deserves it. Yeah, for sure. He absolutely deserves it. But when it comes to Omar, I want to see him fight a couple more times before he can get ready for Marab. I want to see him train with TJ Dillashaw and Khamzat's coach, that stamina guy. It could have been Ilya versus Justin or Armin. Yeah, they're working on Ilya versus Paddy Pimblett right now. So that is their main goal that they are trying to make right now. So, we'll see how that plays out right there. So, yeah, hopefully we do get that fight. That would be an interesting fight to see. So, yeah, man. What else? So, okay, let's jump 1 week ahead, because there's this boxing card that I wanted to show you guys. Daily Dose says Patty don't deserve it. He could beat Chandler. Patty don't deserve it. He beats Chandler. Okay. So, wait. Before I was gonna go into the boxing card and the November 22nd, 2025 fight in Qatar, and then the boxing card with Anthony Yard and David Benavidez. Okay, so what I was gonna say was the reason why the FBI, is not going to arrest anyone is because there's not enough evidence. I don't think there's enough evidence with this whole gambling scandal. I just don't think there's enough evidence at all. Nobody, in my opinion, is going to get arrested. Look, James Krause didn't get arrested, okay? That same fight with Eddie Hearn and what's his name? Kane Baker and what's that guy's name? Fayez. Nothing, right? Nothing. There's not enough evidence. You can't prove unless you've seen it on paper, or you've seen, like, the only thing that you can do is stop the fights, or at least cut the guy if he does something like that. Aaron says Trump won't let Kash Patel arrest Dana White. There you go. That's also another thing, because look, man, you really want me to go out and say it? Dana White has a gambling problem. Do you think that it is far-fetched for a man that has a gambling problem? And then on top of that, he brings in all these other celebrities, all these other influencers to come in and basically run the show in terms of marketing and social media promoting and things of that nature. Now they get into the business. Next thing you know, Steve Will Do It was paying Isaac Dolgarian some money, and guess what, man? Steve Will Do It has a serious gambling addiction. So yeah, there's not going to be much going on with this. I'm probably going to make a video about it regarding this particular topic, talk about why no arrests are going to happen, and we'll go from there. He says sometimes it's just a public shaming and warning. There you go. Yes, public shaming and warning, but in reality, there's nothing that they can, truly, really do about it. So shout out to you, 8x94, shout out to you. First time I seen you here. Let me know what part of the world you are from. So, okay. Arman Sarukian versus Hooker, fight night, right? That's also headlined by Ian Gary and Bilal Muhammad. Now, Bilal Muhammad and Ian Gary are not the headliner. It's actually Sarukian and Hooker, so very interesting. So who do we got here? Okay, we got Bilal Muhammad, Ian Gary, Dan Hooker versus Arman Sarukian. Jack Hermanson taking on Baitik Orbay. Shamil Gaziev at heavyweight, still back at it. Okay, Shamil Gaziev taking on Sergey Spivak. Alex Perez taking on Asu. And then, yes, we got the rest of the prelims right there. Some no names. Nicholas Dalby, Tagir Obanov taking on Haraguchi. Okay. Best Cat. Okay, and then there's Ismail Nurdurov. All right, so very interesting card. On that same day, we also have... who do we have on that day? We also have Anthony Yard. By the way, also a very stacked boxing card. Yard versus Benavidez. Let's take a look at that one. Okay, and that is on that date. So the ring 6. So take a look at this right here. This is what we got right here. Okay, the ring. Haney versus Norman. Okay, stat card. Jesse Bam Bam taking on Martinez. Mason, Abdullah Mason taking on Sam Noakes. So there's the little all-star card we got going on there. There's Devin Haney in the co-main event. That's a WBO world title. Abdullah Mason, another undefeated guy taking on Sam Noakes. Jesse Rodriguez, Fernando Martinez. So a whole bunch of undefeated guys here. And then these are the undercards. Obviously, Muhammad El-Kheer is a Saudi experiment taking on another journeyman, this time from China. So, all right, that is what we have for that one. So he says, Dylan Dennis versus Anthony Taylor, I just saw. Wow, man. So hyped for this weekend's cards. Yes. So, yeah, when is that? He says, thoughts on Aspinall's eye situation, acting or real? You know what? By the way, I'm going to make a video on that too. Dana White has came out and said that Tom Aspinall's eye is completely fine. There's no damage. He can jump back in there with a rematch. I think he's going to refuse the rematch because of who it is, right? Andrew Tate versus Diamore. I'm going with Andrew Tate on that one. I did do a prediction on that one, by the way. Dylan Dennis versus Anthony Taylor. When is that fight? When is that fight? Dylan Dennis. When is this fight? Okay, December 20th, and it's going to be, oh, okay, MMA. Wow, against Anthony Taylor. By the way, I know Anthony Taylor very well. I've interviewed one of his teammates from Long Beach. What was that dude's name? Fuck, I forgot his name. The Conquistador. I remember interviewing him on my channel here. He says, yeah, fit. Yeah, Tate owns Misfits. He does. Not quite, right? See, KSI was the, what do you call it? He was the CEO, or at least a shareholder of the company, right? So as a shareholder, yeah, he wasn't able to really, you know, take care of responsibilities. So Eugene Carrera, there it is. Yes, this is one of Anthony Taylor's teammates right here that I had interviewed a while back. By the way, I ended up having my teeth busted right here. If you see it, I got a missing teeth in this one right here. Your name right? Is it like Correa or Carrera? Correa. Okay.
Portuguese origin, but my parents are Mexican, so Spanish is Korea. You can say Korea in English.
There you go, man. That was yeah, that was one of my very early videos. So I just decided, you know, I was going to interview him right there with my phone out and everything. And yeah, he says, did you see Islam JDM face-off? Yes, I did. Vance, shout out to you. Yo, Kyrie, what's up, my man? Shout out to you, man. So yeah, Victory, it's not that he owns, that Andrew Tate owns it. He now owns a piece of it, and they just made him the CEO. KSI was not able to hold obligations as that, so they had just, yeah, decided that, yeah, they were going to have Andrew Tate run the whole thing. Big Ink MMA says Dennis will probably win by submission, more than likely. But, yeah, listen, man, Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor is no joke. This is a 50-50 fight, in my opinion, but we shall see. So, oh, how about this, man? There's a IFL interview with Andrew Tate. That is interesting. What is this about? Okay. All right, guys. Well, listen, that is all that I have for this one right now. I went through the whole entire cards, gave you guys a breakdown of the entire card. Also talked about some stories that had, you know, that's going on in the world of MMA. Republicanism says, W. Kyrie, this man is one of my favorite because he lets people talk as long as they don't disrespect him. Again, W. Kyrie, much love. Thank you so much, Republicanism, Vance, and thank you for that shout-outs. And everybody around the world, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That is all that I have for you right now. I will be continuing my coverage of UFC 322 for this whole entire fight week, and also stay tuned for the live stream reaction that I'm going to do with those fights. But also, new video that I have out right now. Khabib is retiring from coaching. You heard that right. I need you guys to check out that video right now. It is out right now. It is this video on my channel. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and that is, yes, the new video that I have out right now. So like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Inshallah.